All right, so it's been a minute since we've created any update videos, and that's because we've been working on a lot of updates over the last few months. And today we're just going to show a number of those updates and get some examples going and kind of try to hopefully catch some people up to speed on some new things that they can see and use starting right now. So if you go and log into the program, you can open any other project that you've already created or start a new project, and you'll get all these options that we'll show. We'll also be making some new videos that kind of touch on each one of these topics individually over the coming, who knows, foreseeable future. We'll try to make basically small videos, maybe a minute long each, and each one of those will cover these all sorts of different small topics so that they're much easier to find and see. There's quite a lot that you can do now. So hopefully with all the individual options to see separate videos, that will help. But today what we're going to show and just go over are probably like 7 or 8 different updates. And so you can see those all in this video, and then we'll give individual videos later. So one of the first things we'll talk about is the quality of lighting has improved by quite a lot. There's a main feature, if we go up here now into our settings, which is called indirect lighting. So it'll be on by default. But any of your older projects that you've already created are going to have better lighting, and any venues that you have now as well are just generally going to have some better lighting options. Basically, the way the lighting works now is that things that have brightness to them, so lights as well as like screens and any other like glowing objects, they now will bounce off of other objects in the area. So let's say if we increase these 2 yellow screens here, if we increase the lighting in them, you can see the area around them gets a lot brighter. And then overall, the room here is set to 0 as far as the room lighting goes. But we have a bunch of lighting coming, just bouncing off the walls from kind of different areas here, as you can see. So yeah, you can play around a lot with that. You'll see also in this example, we have, if we turn down the lighting of some other objects, let me see if I turn down these uplights, maybe we have just some glowing boxes back here that are blue, and those now create a glow effect from behind the screen. So instead of adding lights behind a screen like that, you can just add a box to kind of give that same effect, which gives a nice even distribution of lighting. And I'll adjust the color of the backdrop there so you can kind of tell the difference there. So it's much easier to kind of get these much nicer, higher quality lighting options in this way. Turn this back on. And you can kind of see some of the quality as well if you kind of zoom in here to some different areas. To go along with lighting, there is an enhanced lighting option as well, where you can have basically hundreds of lights in your scene, and it doesn't really hit the performance at all. So previously, if you had a ton of lights in your scene, it could start to get a little bit slower. But now you can have just a ton of lights in your scene, and you're really going to still have high performance. So again, if you open any older projects that might have a lot of lighting in them, you can open them up and they should run much better. So that is an option now as well. We have new templates as well. So not a ton of new templates. We're still working on some of them, but the way that these templates work is much better. So as you can see in this room, this is actually a template, and I just drag and drop it all in there. So if I hit clear template, see now the room is dark. I'm going to increase the lighting a little bit here. But basically the way these templates work now is that you can drag and drop them in, and they will resize to any room and basically place all of the objects in specific areas so that they fit well. You might need to adjust a couple things, like these screens maybe need to move just a tad, but otherwise the setup is pretty much good to go. And so then I can also go in to here, maybe create a new room. Let's just create a quick basic room. I'll say it's, I don't know, 120 feet by 80 feet by 17 feet, something like this. So we can see now the template doesn't fit, but all we have to do, the template also adjusts to the positioning of the room too. So I could either hit clear on that template, or I could just go on the top and delete them all. Right, and then from here, so I have this new room that looks like this, and from here I can just drag in that template again, and we're just going to see all the objects will populate in there, and now it fits perfectly. And so from here, all you need to do really is modify it as you want. So you could change all the seating. You could, let's say I want to replace the chairs in here. I could change all of the chairs to something different. Maybe something smaller. You can adjust all the lighting. So I can go in here and change the color. Let's do the up lighting. We'll change that to something different. And then the moving lights, we'll adjust that as well. And so pretty quickly you'll have a completely different look, and then you can go in and adjust your screens as well. So maybe I have a different look for my screens. And anyways, that's just a quick look at that. If you didn't want rigging and something like that, you can just go ahead and remove the rigging, or you can reset the lights. So I could move this all around, or I could say maybe I want 8 lights for my stage wash, and I want them to be 30 feet, a width of 30 feet. So you can do all that just from right there. And yeah, so that's kind of how that works. Okay, and so we also have some improved options for creating 3D models. So importing the 3D models can be is just an improved option when importing. You have more options to change materials and things like that. If you have any issues with importing 3D models, you can always get a hold of us and we can help out with that. There's some models just come in and they're just way too large or not optimized at all, and that can sometimes just be slow and troublesome. So definitely get a hold of us for any of that. But if you create models, so create something from a prompt or from an image, you have a few more options now. So there's a low, medium, and high quality options, and you can get some really nice quality out of that. And the speed to create these models is pretty quick as well. So definitely check that out. And basically, you can add any 3D model at this point into your scene in order to get pretty much whatever you want. To go along with the objects here, we have a search bar function, which was added not too long ago. And so now if you're looking for something very specific, maybe a certain tile, like scenery or something, you just type in the name there and it'll populate there. So if you want to look for lectern or some type of speaker, you just type it into there and it's a little bit easier to find that way. We've also got some new or more options for rooms, for creating rooms and just general rooms that we've already created. So I'll show you a couple quick new rooms, which you can always look in here. If you go to the pre-made section, you can search through this or just get a hold of us if you don't see a room that you want, and we can see if we might have that's not in that list. We have a couple hundred venues at this point. I think they're just not all listed there. So anyways, I'll just go ahead and drag something in here real quick. Let's go to venues and just show a couple new, well, not maybe some of these are new, some of them might not be. So this is a smaller room here. You can kind of see the difference in the quality with all the bounced lighting, everything going on. It looks really nice. Let's add in a larger room. Here's another one that this is actually a smaller room, but again, just showing some examples of what rooms can look like along with a template kind of added to it and all the lighting involved. So you can see the room really kind of takes shape once a bunch of stuff is added in there. I'll just show one more kind of larger room real quick here. Again, let's clear this out. And so we have a much larger room here. You can just adjust the lighting with this single slider here. And then again, we can add in a template and kind of get started from there. So you can see it will add all the objects in. If there's something if the room is really large, it might not be able to populate, let's say, a bunch of chairs in the back. So you might have to do that in sections, but otherwise should work out fine. Okay, from here we can look at creating your own room. So I'm going to remove this template once again here. And to create your own room, the basic room is still the easiest option to use over here. So it allows you to create a rectangular room, add a floor plan, and then enter your dimensions to make sure that the room is accurate. So this is nice to use if you're just doing a small basic room. And you do have options to change the ceiling, floor, and walls, but you're kind of limited to what we have there. The custom room option allows for quite a bit more. So you can draw the walls out from any floor plan, and you can add a bunch more stuff to it. So you can do windows, doors, you can change the textures of floors and walls to anything that you want. Just add an image for it. And then there's also the templates that we have for ceilings, floors, walls, and other stuff like that. And to kind of get started, you can either add a floor plan. So I'll just show a quick example of that. All right, so I'm just going to draw a line across the back wall to make sure that we have the full width of the wall. And then I'm going to type in the actual distance of it. So for this room, I don't know the exact dimensions, but I'm just going to say it's 100 feet wide. And then once I'm ready, I can start drawing out the walls. Say it's something like this. We'll just go in here. And then just create these different sections of the walls. This is probably too big, but either way, just an example. Okay, and once your room's created, you'll have this, and you'll have a bunch of options over here on the right. So you can change the ceiling, you can change the ceiling here. I can change the color of the ceiling if I wanted to make it a different color. I can change it to any one of these templates here. Get something close to what your room looks like. And then for, let's say, floors, walls, all that sort of stuff, you can just add any texture you want. So if I wanted to change the walls to a different texture, I'm just going to find an image. I could use one of our templates, or I could use any image that I have, maybe this. And then you can scale the texture by this texture option right here. So I can say, I want these to be smaller, and maybe you want the color to be a bit lighter. So you can make all these adjustments as you need. You can also adjust, let's say, the baseboards, stuff like this, to get it exactly the way you want. And then from there, you can add in a template again, or just start adding objects. So I'm just going to do a template as an example here. So again, it's just going to scale to the size of the room. I can increase the intensity of the room if I want. And all this. And then again, if you wanted to start from scratch, you could just clear the template and start drawing as you want. So maybe you go to your top camera view here, increase the lighting a bit, and we'll say we want to draw out a stage. And we can set it to the center or the back of the room, and then just kind of start creating everything here. Back of the room, move this a little forward, and just do some lighting real quick here as well. Just this. Cool. And I can move our room as well. So I can say I want it to move a little bit to the right, and I want it to come this way. And then everything just kind of centers there when I'm ready. All right, so we also have some new options for creating renderings. So we have image libraries basically now. So when you go to this image section, you'll have a rendering section and a video section. And the renderings just keep all your previous renderings. The videos keep all your previous rendering or videos. So you can create HD and 4K renderings, and then you can create fly-through animations, or you can create enhanced videos by using a prompt. So you can do either of those options. But when you create a fly-through, it's nice and easy. So I think we already have some camera views set up here, it looks like. But basically, I'm just going to create some camera views, something like this, and then you can test your fly-through, and you can adjust the speed with this, or you can just hit create fly-through and it'll create one real quick. So let me go ahead and remove some of these. Let's throw a template in here again so it looks a little more finished. Okay, and then from there, let me see what these cameras look like. I'm just going to go ahead and create a couple new cameras. So let's say I start right here. Let's save preset, and then maybe I'll come to the center. I'll save another preset, and then I'll create the last one right here. And you can also rename these by right-clicking them. All right, but from here, I'm just going to test the fly-through. So I'm going to click test, and it'll just fly through those animations. And when it's finished, if you've created an actual fly-through, it will create that video and add it to your library. And from there, you can get I'll just create one real quick so that we can see it. But from there, you'll get a finished rendering. You'll have a link to the video, so you can send it really easily, or you can download it as well. All right, so it's created my video. I'm just going to play it from here. You can see the video in action. Once it's done, you can get a link to it, or you can download it. All right, and then lastly, we're just going to look at two things with adding or replacing people in seating, or replacing objects as well. So when I click on some items, I'll get this little replace option. And if I click that, it'll just send me to an area where I can replace these objects. So I can really quickly just drag in a new chair and it'll replace the chair. So we can see what it might look like with different options here. Cool, so that's much easier to do now. And then in your control panel, you have a bunch of options as well with seating. So I can adjust, where the chairs are facing. You can add people to it. Let's see, add people to this section, change what they're using. I could say that I want plates, but I want no vase. And then you could even add a custom vase or something in the middle, a custom centerpiece if you wanted to in there. You can change the layout. You can do a lot from that. So the same thing here. We'll just replace these two chairs real quick with something different. And same thing with this back area. We can replace these real quick with something different. Maybe like these chairs. And the same thing with scenery. It's a lot easier to replace scenery because there's so much different scenery. Okay, and then lastly, we have more 3D models for people as well. So I could add a few more different types of poses, and people kind of doing different things. So we've got just some extra options for that as well. All right, well, that's it for now. If you log in and you have any questions or anything like that, just go ahead and use the chat option, and we can definitely help you out there. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions at all. Thanks.